This is a Glendale Library Arts and Culture program, created for teens, edited and hosted by the Teen Library staff. Check out community service opportunities and teen events down in the description box.
Hi everyone, it's Melissa.
And Desiree.
Welcome to our guest episode of Teen Gen Talks.
Today's guest has a PhD in psychology from Alliant University. Her BA in psychology and master's in counseling degrees are from California State University, Fullerton. She is the executive director at Ascencia. She is experienced in clinical services, residential treatment, adjunct faculty, vocational rehabilitation, workforce investment, non-public education, veteran services, and homeless services. When she worked for Goodwill Industries, the programs grew from $9 million to $21 million within 3 years.
Grab a snack and drink, and let's welcome Dr. Laura Duncan to Teen Gen Talks. Thank you, Dr. Duncan, for taking the time out of your day to talk with us. We have a lot to discuss.
Certainly. Happy to be here.
To start off this interview, can you let us know how you got into psychology and counseling?
There are two reasons, and one of them, they're both the truth, okay? One is because I like to help people. I'm wired that way. I like to help people, animals, and, the underdog, anything. That's just part of my nature and how I'm wired. And then the other reason, which I think is a pretty prime reason that people don't often admit, and that is it's interesting to if you can understand yourself first, it will help you to better understand others. So I wanted to know more about what made me tick.
So what did you want to do with your major after college?
Well, originally I wanted to do psych testing, the Rorschach ink blots and the MMPI and all that kind of stuff. And I did pursue that. I studied that when I was getting my doctorate. And I actually went up to Washington State and secured a job there at a men's correctional facility where I was going to do psych testing. And also I had a side gig at Wolf Haven for wolf conservation. I was going to write curriculum there. However, when I got to the correctional institution, it was so punitive and there was nothing therapeutic about it. And I couldn't deal with it. It just went against my values. So I came back to California and I pursued my dreams in nonprofit. Now, every time I was gonna do private practice, but every time I got into a position, I ended up getting put in a position of leadership and then, wasn't able to do like the administrative duties as well as get my hours towards licensure. So I just kind of gave up on that after a while. I had done some of it as an intern, and it really wasn't my cup of tea. I like psych testing, and I like admin. I'm actually pretty good at finance, and I like that sort of thing.
So for someone who wants to get into psychology, what is a tip that you would give them?
Well, when you say psychology, you mean in a pretty broad way, like not specifically as a psychologist, but in the mental health field?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, a bachelor's degree will take you so far. There's a lot you can do, but if you want to pursue a higher education, I noticed at the time when I got a master's in counseling psychology, and so I was on at the time it was called oh my gosh, it was so long ago, the Licensed Marriage and Family Counselor, LMFC or something like that. Mm-hmm. And now it's the LMFT, or have they changed it again now? I'm not really staying up on it, but I noticed then and since then, and I don't know if it's changed more recently, but it seemed like the LCSW, or the Masters in Social Work with licensure, was opening more doors. It seemed like if you wanted to work any kind of hospital setting and in some other arenas, that seemed to be the e-ticket. And so what I have advised people along the way is to really carefully review the different programs and what kind of doors they're going to open for you to make sure they're going to open the doors that you're after.
How did you become the director of programs for Ascencia?
Well, okay, this is an interesting story. I had, I've been in social services my entire career, And I happened to be working with homeless veterans on the West LA Veterans Administration campus, and I loved it. But I was commuting, in reality, 5 hours a day. It was killing me. And I had moved over there from another position, and it just, after 3 years of that, I was done. and this is what happened. The 2 days after I started working there, they blew up the Wilshire off ramp and on ramps that's when they started the 405 freeway project. So it would take like 45 minutes to get on the freeway every day and get off. So that was it was just like the worst possible timing. And then that project ended after I left, of course. So I never really knew what the real commute was. But anyway, somebody else that was working there, that we crossed paths, and they had worked for Ascencia in the past. And so they were aware of the opening of the position. They knew of my work on the VA campus, and they knew where I lived and what my commute was. So they suggested that I apply. They said, "This looks perfect for you." So I looked at it. I said, "My God, you're right. I can cut my commute to like an hour and a half or 2 hours. That'd be great. 3 hours a day instead of 5." So that's what I did. I applied, and the executive director at the time interviewed me. And then she had some of her other team meet me for good measure, and they liked me. So it happened from there. That was 6 years ago, actually, this month.
Wow, nice. Can you also let the viewers at home know what is Ascencia?
Okay, yeah, sure. Ascencia, like the name sounds, and I actually think it is a word in Spanish, but it like ascending sort of a thing. And I like cumbia music, and I've heard the word in cumbia songs, so that's why I think it's a word. But anyway, I wasn't here at the time when they came up with the name, and that happened in 2011. I'm sure it was in the works, before then, but it actually changed to Ascencia in 2011 before my time. But Ascencia goes along with our mission statement, which is to lift people out of homelessness, one person, one family at a time. So it's all about, lifting, ascension, that kind of a thing. So we're a comprehensive homeless services agency, headquartered in Glendale, but we service a much wider area, all the way out to West Hollywood.
What services does Ascencia have?
Okay, I'm going to tell you the main nuts and bolts of it, all right? So just give me a second, bear with me. So what we do is the front end of our services is street outreach and engagement. We have outreach teams in basically like Glendale, Burbank, West Hollywood, Northeast Los Angeles, where we have teams of people who literally, it sounds kind of tacky, but they literally comb the streets looking for people where they're living in places not meant for people to be sleeping, okay, or living. That means like, parks, sidewalks, anywhere where you're going to see encampments. A lot of times they'll get kind of go off the grid in Army Corps of Engineer areas. So they go, and sometimes they go with law enforcement, safety in numbers, or if it seems like it might be potentially dangerous. And they literally approach people and educate them on what we do and what we can offer them. And sometimes they bring people back that very day. Sometimes they have to go out and keep talking to them and establish contact it could take weeks, months, years until they finally will agree to come in for services. A lot of trust issues there, okay? And so from that point, then if they enroll in some of our programs, we have what's called an access center. And so there's case management there where people are going to be helped to develop kind of like a viable housing plan. They got to get their documentation in order. A lot of times they've lost everything, or it been, stolen or ruined somehow, got wet or something. So they need documentation. They need, their ID or driver's license. They need their Social Security cards again. They need to we help them establish a source of income, no matter what that might be. It might be general relief, but something where they can start to build a pathway out of homelessness and that develop a viable housing plan. If eligible, we hook them up with housing vouchers or whatever path is going to, they're going to match up with. If they need employment and they're on an employment track, we'll connect them with those services, etc. We also have an emergency or an interim housing program. We have 45 beds. Older language is like a emergency shelter. We service families with children, minor children, and we also service single adults. And so it's the same thing there. We're the most vulnerable out of all the people we work with are going to come into the shelter. We service about 1,200 people a year, and maybe 200 or maybe even less, maybe 180 of those are going to come into the shelter. So they're going to be the most vulnerable. A lot of times it would be people who are more elderly, have more health conditions, families with little kids, of course, that sort of thing. And we do the same thing there, but they have the benefit of the shelter, but we do the housing plans and connect them to whatever it is they need. Also at our Access Center, we have an array of services. So obviously all school-age children are going to be in school, right? So we have partnered with a bunch of different agencies. So we have groups that come in and do school-age tutoring. We have groups that come in and do various health education topic, seminars or classes a couple times a month. We have teletherapy. Well, we have telepsychiatry. So we've had that for a couple of years now. Before that, we actually had a human psychiatrist that would come in person. Now it's a human psychiatrist on the other end of a large screen TV. But it's all good. We also have clinicians that do trauma therapy, which is very specific, and art therapy, which is how we reach the children. Okay. We also have a really robust financial literacy program because once we put people in housing again, we want them to have the tools to be able to stay there and not make the same mistakes that, happened the first time. And we've had people come back and give testimony about the fact that they applied what they learned in that class. So when they had a blip in the screen again, like they were between jobs, they actually didn't become homeless again because they had employed what they learned and been able to weather it till they got another job and that sort of thing. And then finally, the last piece is once our goal, our end game is always to get people back into permanent housing. And that's not the end of the movie, okay? And everyone lives happily ever after. That's really still one of the middle points because after that, for many of our families and households, we stay engaged with them for up to a year and for some indefinitely for as long as they're in the housing program if they're eligible for the services to help keep them there. Not everybody can maintain housing without support for a variety of reasons. It could be mental health or, usually something like that. Maybe sometimes there are other factors, but that's what we do. It's very rewarding and, Lord knows there's no shortage of need out there.
How does someone get involved with Ascencia?
Oh, wow. There are all kinds of ways. Well, you could be a client if you need it. But other than that, as far as volunteering and okay, again, with the COVID-19, it's been a game changer because one of the really popular ways that people get involved is our guest chef program. So in our 45-bed emergency housing program in Glendale, we have a long history of various individuals, groups, and organizations who will, sometimes they'll be on we're going to do it weekly, we're going to do it monthly, we're going to do it quarterly, or we'll do it once in a while, or a one time, or whatever, but they actually purchase and provide a meal to the shelter clients. And that experience is really powerful because, well, sometimes people come with their families and they bring their kids, and it's all that philanthropic, giving back, and really makes you feel good to help other people. It's the best thing we can do for our own self-worth is to help other people, right? And so it's very powerful for everyone involved. And of course, the clients are very, very grateful and they don't take it for granted. And so that's one way to get involved. Right now, because of COVID-19, we're having people drop off donations, including food, whether it's a meal that's prepared, or just some food that we can prepare later. But under normal circumstances, we like to have people come in and do it and interact, taking tours, coming in to see what all we're doing and find out what you might be interested in. Of course, we're always in need of donations, especially, monetary, because we're a nonprofit. We're always looking to fill those gaps, which we do, but it takes an ongoing effort and ongoing contributions. We have groups that will come in and work on various projects. Like sometimes groups will purchase and put together hygiene kits, and those are for clients to use while they're in, either in the shelter or still living on the streets, or our outreach teams take them out, and it's one way they can offer people something, provide them with some direct assistance. We've had groups that make blankets and bring them in for the winter. Rain ponchos, they'll bring them. There's a lot of different ways. Sometimes people will say, hey, what can I do to help spread the word of your mission? That's what you guys are doing today, right? So you're doing it.
Right, yes.
You're doing it. If you go on the website, and we're in the process right now of rebuilding our website. That's a great way to connect and to see how you can get involved, what all the different things people can do. I've had people come in and do art making with clients, various things over the years. There was somebody who started up a shoe company, and he donated a ton of shoes, and so it was kind of like, we're going to help you, but we're also going to, part of our marketing is we donated, So there's a lot of different ways that people can get involved, but the typical is we have on our newsletter. You can contact us and ask to be in our newsletter, and then you find out everything that's going on, projects, what we need. There's something called Move In Monday when we're housing somebody, what they need, and people can purchase like home goods, or if they need sheets or pillows, that kind of stuff, and they get delivered, and then it helps us with people are moving in, because a lot of times they're moving in someplace with nothing.
And then throughout your years at working at Ascencia, is there anything that you have learned?
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you that the answer to that, and I'm going to give you a parallel story, and then I'm going to tell you the same thing applies here in working with the homeless population and subpopulations. Okay, so I have a bachelor's in psych, a master's in counseling, and a doctorate in psychology. Okay, a lot of sitting around in a classroom learning. Back in the day, we were sitting in classrooms, and I was driving to San Diego 3 times a week, and then coming back, and all that kind of stuff. The point of all that is, yes, I did my internships, I did my practicums, I did all my studies, and then I started working in the field. So I'm learning on my jobs, blah, 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 about mental health and a lot of things that stem from childhood, right?
Yeah.
Well, back in the late 90s, for like 7 years, I was a D-rate foster parent to 6 children. And D-rate means they had some special needs, mental health and some learning issues and things. 5 of them were siblings. At least they had the same mother, and then there was one that wasn't, but he had Asperger's. And what I'm going to tell you is, I learned more from those kids that I was raising that had a plethora of issues in those 7 years than I ever did from any book or class or, internship or job I ever had. And so I'm going to say the same thing applies here. I have learned a lot about homelessness from the very people who are homeless themselves. And the main thing is, just like you always find when you get to know people and you drill down and you overcome your isms and schisms and preconceptions, we're all pretty much the same underneath it all.
Right.
How can you contact Ascencia when you need help?
Okay. Well, it's through our street outreach. If somebody's out there in need, we're going to come across them and we're going to approach them. If you are a community member and you've got somebody camping out in your carport or your front lawn or your place of business, if you're a business owner or you're at work and you're noticing stuff, you can always call us and then we will send an outreach team out to go and make contact, attempt to contact the person and find out what's going on and try to get them, some services. If we need to, we'll bring law enforcement into it. But yeah, Monday through Friday during business hours, really 7 to 4 p.m., we're always available for someone to come or to call and ask us to go and help someone that they see in need. We'll go check it out. Then if you like, sometimes people will call and say, well, they know of someone. They'll say, I have a friend from high school that I haven't seen in 10 years, and now they know where I live, so they need help, blah, blah, blah. And what we have to say is you need to have them contact us themselves. Okay. They're an adult. If, we need to deal with them directly. So that's how that works.
So before we end, we have some rapid fire questions to ask you.
Okay.
The first question is, what is your favorite color?
My favorite color is orange.
Orange. What is something that you have been proud to say that you have accomplished?
Well, I'll just keep it on the professional level. I'm actually very proud that I have two things. I did achieve my doctorate before my 31st birthday. I had a goal to achieve it by the time I was 30, and I got it 2 days before I turned 31, so that counts, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And the second thing is that I actually, I had been in director positions at several times in several different agencies, and then I finally got above that 2 years ago into the executive director realm, and so I'm pretty proud of being able to do that. Feels pretty good.
Yeah. What is some advice that you wish you would have known when you were younger?
Wear sunscreen.
Yes.
Okay, I'll tell you. And I see people doing it nowadays, and I'm impressed by it. Professionally, really, like I was talking about earlier, check into which type of degree you would want. Make sure you know more about the job, what's involved in various jobs and fields. So make sure it's a good fit for you so that you don't end up in a job that you just don't like your whole life. Right. Because so many of our waking hours are spent at work. It's so important that we like what we're doing or love what we're doing, that we're passionate about it. Yeah. Otherwise, speaking as a psychologist, people don't live such happy lives. And that's the same thing about choosing, who you're going to spend it with as well. But pay attention to the yellow flags and the red flags in life.
Right.
Yes.
Describe yourself as a teenager in 3 words.
Ambitious, kind, and helpful.
What is a book that you have read recently or are currently reading that you would recommend?
So I'm going to go back to a business book that I read somewhere in the 2000s that made a huge impact on me as far as something that I intentionally do since I read the book. And the book is called it's not a new book. It's like I said, I read it in the 2000s, but it really resonated with me, and I really believe in its tenets. And that is The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. It was written by John C. Maxwell, and I recommend it to anyone who is supervising other people or in a position of leadership where you have, obviously, the first thing about leadership is you should be the people they're following. But that's not always the case. Just because you get put in the top spot doesn't mean people are going to follow you, okay? Right. But in that's who the leader is really in an organization. Who are they following? But this is about, if you have let's say you're going to surround yourself, you have a team of like 6 people, you have a development department in a nonprofit, a programs department, finance department, operations and HR, and maybe IT, marketing, whatever it is, those 6 programs. You want to hire people that aren't like you. Don't hire clones and yes people, because you're going to have an agency or an organization or a business where everybody has the same strengths and weaknesses, and the weaknesses are going to be glaring because who's going to fill in, right? You're all the same. So I like to hire people that, yes, I can get along with anybody pretty much. You can establish some kind of common ground as long as they're not like a psychopath or something. But so you got to root that out first. But you want them to have different gifts and talents and bring different strengths to the table so that you can complement each other. And this book really talks about how to do that and the importance of it and why it works. And I believe in it wholeheartedly.
Thank you so much, Dr. Laura Duncan, for taking the time every day to talk with us. Can you let everyone know at home about any upcoming projects and where they can connect with you?
Well, this was my upcoming project. It's over now. No. Well, actually, I think we always have things in the works. We're in the middle of our second year of a 3-year strategic plan. So we've been looking at expansion and growth. We have been hiring. If people are looking for work in this industry, you can always check on our website for positions. If you're looking to volunteer, you can always connect with us on our website or call. And our latest project, our most imminent project that we're wrapping up, where there are several, like we're finishing grants and all kinds of things, but the website, I'm really, really excited about. That's going to allow us to do virtual tours. But when we are able to reopen, I'm really, really looking forward to giving in-person tours again for people to come and really see firsthand what we're doing and how we're doing it. I think that's super powerful and meaningful. So until then, we'll do it virtually. It was really nice meeting both of you, by the way.
Yes.
And thank you. It was nice meeting you.
So we're anticipating, well, not us, but the state and the powers that be are saying, with the pandemic, we're expecting about a 20% increase in homelessness in the state. Okay, and we know a large portion of that is going to be in the LA County area, and we want to be ready for that. We're not looking to shrink services right now. We're looking to, because it's been hard with the situation and the economic toll and fallout. But we want to maintain what we have, and as we can, be able to rise to the level of need that we're going to be facing here. We're already facing it, always have been, but it's only going to increase in the coming months. And I think 2021 is going to be all about helping even more people in need to get back on their feet. And that's the biggest project we have going on coming our way. Mm-hmm. It's the most important.
Well, thank you so much again. And it was a pleasure meeting you. And thank you so much.
You too, Desiree and Melissa. And thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Yes, it was a pleasure. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Hi, everyone. It's Desiree again.
And Melissa.
Did you enjoy this episode?
I'm sure you did.
Then please make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications for this channel.
Check out the teen content video playlist here. end our latest Teen Gen episode here.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.